Hi there, it's me, Ron. I've had a lot of questions asked to me about, what kind of handgun I should buy, with all the home invasions, the burglaries, the robberies that are occurring, in this crappy economy. People are looking for means to have some sort of item or some sort of tool to use in case they need it for self-defense. I mean, even in church, our lectors are sitting there and they're telling us, the women, if they could please bring their bags up with them for communion and all that, because it's gotten so bad to where people are even stealing in church. So that should tell you something. I mean, it's a rough economy right now, so more and more people are asking me questions about what to buy, what to use, and all that. So let's go into our cartridges and firearm selection, let you know what's available on the market, and kind of give you a brief breakdown on what's out there and how to buy. Okay, first what we'll discuss revolvers. You have a 38 special cartridge here and a 357. 38 special will fit in a 357 firearm. As you can tell, 38 special here is just a little bit shorter on the casing, but is a little less powerful than 357. 357 is definitely a powerful cartridge as well. So that's the difference in the two. Again, 38 can fit into a 357 firearm. What we have here are two double action revolvers. This one here would be considered a snub nose revolver. It's 2 inches, 5 shots. The ease and simplicity of this particular, or these particular firearms, is the fact is you just open them up, load them and close it, and you're ready to go. There's 2 ways to fire this particular firearm. One is in double action. Again, we're making sure the firearm is empty. Double action, where you squeeze the trigger, the hammer comes back, the cylinder cycles, and it goes bang. Or in single action, is where you cock it, you're already staged, and it's a short little trigger pull, a little tap to set the firearm off. Bang. This particular firearm is notorious for recoil only because there's no moving parts to absorb the action, or the action does not have any moving parts to absorb recoil or energy. So with a shorter barrel, you're going to get a lot of pop, a lot of nose flip. To combat that, they do make them in 4-inch and 6-inch models. Like this particular model here is a 4-inch. 6-inch gets a little big for home defense, but it's still definitely feasible. Again, the simplicity in these particular firearms is there's no moving parts in the sense that you have to operate. You just open up the gate, load your cylinder, close it, give it a quick turn to make sure it's locked up, and you're good to go. Again, double action, long trigger pull, rotate the cylinder, bang. Or single action, cock, and it's a short tap, the gun goes off. Okay, so the benefit with these particular firearms is that, again, not a lot of moving parts, it's very simple to operate, and very, very easy to use. Now we'll move on to semi-autos. Semi-autos are a whole different class of firearms. Here you have a single action semi-auto, meaning that the hammer is cocked back when operable to set the firearm off. Okay, so make sure we're clear. These particular firearms have magazines, not clips. Magazines hold ammunition. So you have the magazine that holds ammunition anywhere from 10 to 13, 15 rounds depending on the model of your particular firearm. This is a 9mm here, definitely adequate. The 40 is a little bit larger cartridge, gives you a little more oomph, a little more knockdown, and 45. Here's a 45 cartridge as well. You see the big difference in size. 40 is in between 9mm and 45. So, the larger the cartridge, definitely a little more recoil, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's unmanageable. Because we're talking semi-auto firearms, the firearms actions themselves will absorb a lot of the recoil. And the reason being is because as the gun goes off, bang, the slide cycles, ejects an old casing, spent round, loads a new one from the magazine. So in this particular firearm, you have to keep in mind that you have a magazine that contains your ammunition. It's loaded. When it's fully chambered, fully loaded, the slide will come forward. If it's empty, 99% of most models out there will lock back. This is a single action firearm. So again, you know, hammer's cocked back. It has a manual safety here, up and down, you know, safes the weapon, but still your ultimate safety is going to be what's in between your ears and your trigger finger. You know, never put your finger on the trigger unless you're willing to shoot the firearm or discharge the firearm. So with this particular firearm, it does take a little bit of skill. It takes a lot of knowledge, you know, and just being able to operate it on a, you know, skillful level, because it is a tool. Like anything else, it is a tool. So the more you use it, the more you become familiar with it, the better of an operator you become. So that's a single action firearm. The double action semi-auto here basically works on the same principle. You have a magazine here, holds the ammunition, you know, you load it, you know, same operation. You have a slide, chambers around, but you notice that you have no hammer here. Unlike with this particular gun being a single action firearm, you have a hammer. So most double action firearms do not in the modern day sense. So you do have, you know, a lot of firearms out here that are hammerless. And again, simple operation. Load your magazine. Magazine's chambered into the magazine well. Pull the slide back. Now you're ready to go. With this particular firearm, again, you know, the benefits of having a semi-auto is repeatability of shots. You have more shots than in a revolver. And you know, the drawback to that is you have to become familiar with your firearm because there are more moving parts. Okay, so that covers double action. Now, I want to discuss a lot of things that, or another cartridge that most people don't consider as a self-defense, and I wouldn't really recommend it as a self-defense cartridge. It's a 22. Okay, 22 cartridges. They're really small, really tiny. Very little recoil on these particular handguns, but worst case scenario, something is better than nothing. And I also recommend that you guys out there purchase a 22 pistol. It will allow you to practice on a cheaper scale and also learn the basic fundamentals which you can apply to the larger calibers. You know, so although 22 isn't recommended as a self-defense firearm, something is better than nothing. Here you have this particular 22 semi-automatic firearm. You know, they make them in revolvers as well, but you notice this here is just a downscaled version of the bigger brothers that are out on the market. So if you wanted to transition from, you know, something like this to like this, the transition would be easy because of functionability, because of similarity in loading, similarity in the way the firearm operates. It will allow for easier transition. But this is just a small version in 22 of the larger items that are out there on the market. And then you have your other 22s, which are more recreational orientated in the sense that they don't have full slides. They have, you know, little cocking handles, little bolt handles here. And although this can be used definitely for self-defense if in a need-be situation, this is a totally different model than this particular model here. So operation will be very similar, but as you can tell, this does not have a slide, while this particular firearm does. The whole top moves back and forth. So this particular one here is, again, you know, a decent firearm. Will definitely get what you need done, but it's just operated slightly differently. Okay, well, that kind of gives you a brief overrun. I mean, there's so many things I can discuss in regards to calibers as well. We didn't really cover 40 caliber too much, but it's just a slightly larger caliber than 9mm, a little more power, you know, than 9mm as well. But I wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what's available on the market. Another thing is, your hand will let you know whether the gun feels good. You know, your hand will let you know whether it fits or not. So pick up the gun, you know, go to your local gun store, pick up the firearm, you know, handle it properly. Go ahead and place your hand around it. Your hand will let you know whether the gun fits in your hand. You know, then after that, it's all preference. Small, big, large, whatever caliber you want. It's available out there on the market. So I hope this video has been very informative to you. You know, keep in mind that I will be providing more videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ron, the number 90, FOR10. That's Ron 9410. And you know, there's a lot of good things to come in the future. So hope this was informative to you guys. You guys have a great day.